Sponsored by Eero. Get $100 off the Eero package and 1 year of Eero Plus. Link in the description. The music plays, the Apple logo dances something clever across the big screen. Then, the lights go up. Tim Cook takes the stage.
Good morning! Thank you.
And the September event is on. But what's on exactly? Hit subscribe, one more thing, that bell gizmo, so you don't miss the next video, and let's preview the hell out of this. I'm Rene Ritchie, and this is Vector. Apple has been holding an annual event in September since iTunes and the iPod owned the digital musical world. Since 2012, though, that event has been where Apple debuts their biggest product of the year, the new iPhone, most recently alongside the new Apple Watch as well. Some years, new iPads, Apple TVs, and entirely new products like AirPods have also come along for the ride. And for the last couple of years, it's been held at the Steve Jobs Theater at Apple Park in Cupertino, California. Tim Cook, Apple's CEO, always kicks us off. Some years as a video or skit, an update on Apple retail or some other aspect of the business, like education or environment. Other years, things are so busy, Tim just says,
I'm dispensing with those other than to tell you everything's great.
And kicks us right into the show. And for the last few years, that started with the Apple Watch and Apple's COO, Jeff Williams. Series 4 was the big iPhone X moment for the Apple Watch, the redesign, bigger displays, and the beginning of the end of the war on bezels. It took half a decade to get there, so we shouldn't be expecting a repeat just 1 year later. Instead, we should be going back to relentless iteration. I literally just did a video on this, so I'll spare you the complete recap. Link in the description. But based on the rumors so far, what we'll most likely be getting are some new finishes, or more properly, the return of ceramic and the introduction of titanium. And as I said in that video, every year since the Apple Watch launch, we've gotten a new S-Series, System in Package, SIP as well. So I'm interested to see what Johnny Cerrugi's Silicon team has whipped up this year for the S5 as well. Sleep tracking sounds another year out, even with Apple's purchase of Bedit, and blood sugar sensors perhaps even more, despite Apple acquiring a ton of tech in that space. So my sights remain fixed, maybe fixated, on an always-on display. Health and fitness are always major focuses, and communications a minor one. And this year, further independence from the iPhone is the watchOS 6 theme. So if there's any new hardware to support any of that, I expect to see all of it in the highlight video as well. Then it's Nike and Hermes partnership updates if they remain unchanged and no new players have been added, pricing and availability, and check out, back to Tim. If there's anything new to report about Apple TV hardware, Tim might hand off for the triumphant return of Eddie Q, Senior Vice President of Services. But we got new hardware and 4K Dolby Vision support back in 2017, and Dolby Atmos enabled last year. As Streaming Kit goes, Apple's A10X processor means it's still massively OP, massively overpowered, and the price is already higher than all the budget boxes and sticks. PlayStation and Xbox controller support has just handled my previous gaming wish list, but Siri Remote remains divisive, so that's still something Apple might want to address. There's not much else we really need from the box at this point, except with Apple Arcade and TV Plus, which should be launching with all the new software updates a week or so after the event, there may be an opportunity for Apple to do what they did with the iPod, introduce a Nano right under the Classic. Or, in this case, an Apple TV Stick. That way, people without an Apple TV or even one of the latest smart TV brands Apple's partnered with could still get all up in the new services on their big living room screens. But again, I don't every time get what I want. So all I'm really expecting is a recapitulation of what we saw in March, maybe with a few more celebrity and developer cameos, but with final pricing and launch content finally attached. And then we're back to Tim. There is so much I still want from the HomePod, and hardware is still low down on that list. But like I said in my HomePod video earlier this year, yeah, link in the description, I would still love to see a HomeBar theater and a HomePod mini. Otherwise, there's a bunch of stuff coming to the existing hardware that Apple hasn't really talked much about yet, so we could also just hear more about that. There are rumblings of new AirPods. Sure, we just got the second generation this spring, but third generation models with noise cancellation and sweat resistance may just make an appearance already. Maybe also over-the-ear versions as well. Apple Cans? ProPods? I don't know. Apple is making more and more money off of wearables and accessories, so expanding on those categories just makes a ton of sense to me. If Apple's ready to do just that, we could see Phil Schiller, Senior Vice President of Marketing, up on stage for a little longer than usual this year. And then, again, back to Tim. There are rumors of new iPad Pros with much better cameras and a completely new 16-inch MacBook Pro. There are also likely updates pending for the iMac Pro, more information on the release of the new Mac Pro, including and especially how much those wheels are going to cost, and maybe a rev of the Mac Mini announced last October. But that's when Apple typically talks iPad and Mac, in October. If there's not much to announce, Greg Joswiak, Vice President of Product Marketing, and John Turnus, Vice President of Hardware Engineering, could be brought up on stage to fold it all into one big fall show. That's what happened in 2017, and wow, howdy 2015. But otherwise, we'll have to wait for another month. Then, time for the main event. Tim Cook typically handles shouting out the name of the new iPhone and then hands off to Phil Schiller for the walkthrough. This year, that's widely expected to be the iPhone 11 and iPhone 11 Pro. Rumor has it Apple will be rebranding the R line as the new normal and then letting the more expensive models sit on top of it as the Pro line. If that's what happens, I think it's a change for the much, much better. It matches the rest of Apple's branding and better aligns the price points with the much more mature market. So iPhone 11 would be the 6.1-inch LCD model, updated with a second camera, and the iPhone 11 Pros would be the 5.8-inch and 6.5-inch OLED models, updated with a third ultra-wide lens and bigger sensors all around. Yeah, for the iPhone 11 Pro, it sure sounds like Apple will be taking a page from the iPhone 7 Plus playbook. Extra cameras and amped up finishes. Instead of jet black though, frosted glass and maybe a green model and a shimmering Apple logo treatment. Shades of rainbows past. Judgment reserved until I see it. Last year, Kai Andrantz, head of iPhone product marketing, walked us through the A12. I'd legit been waiting years to see her on stage, and it'd be great to see her again for the A13. This year though, it's probably going to be all about that camera. I've done a whole video on the rumors and another one just on the camera, so I'll drop links to both of those in the description as well. Then to wrap it all up, we'll get updates on the storage, the SKUs, the pricing, the availability, all of it, and then Phil will hand back to Tim. Apple can still surprise us. Even when there are spoilers, it's always been much more about the how for me than the what. Apple Watch was one more thing. Apple Music. Maybe Apple Glasses one day as well. This year, maybe Apple Beacons to go with the newly unified, newly privatized Find My service. One thing we'll probably won't be getting though is a new airport router. But for that, we have Eero. They're even a launch partner for iOS 13's new HomeKit secure router feature coming later this year. Right now with Eero Plus, you get total network protection with the ability to block malicious and unwanted content across your entire network. Advanced security that checks the sites you visit against a database of millions of known threats and prevents you from accidentally visiting malicious sites without slowing anything down. Content blocking that automatically tags sites that contain violent, illegal, or adult content so you can choose what your kids can and cannot visit right in the Eero app. Ad blocking that gets rid of annoying ads and pop-ups on all your devices and improves load times for ad-heavy sites so you can browse and stream faster than ever before. Also, VPN protection from Encrypt.me, password management from 1Password, and antivirus software from Malwarebytes. Best of all, it's super easy to set up. In the summer when it's bright and shiny, I often take one of the beacons outside, set it up on my balcony, and then go out onto the river and enjoy with Wi-Fi. And right now you can get $100 off the Eero base unit and 2 beacons package and 1 year of Eero Plus by going to Eero.com/Vector and using promo code VECTOR at checkout. Thanks, Eero, and thanks to all of you for supporting the show. As to one more thing, what I would all caps love to see is an Apple Prime bundle with all the stuff at one easier to manage price. I would sub the hell out of that. Speaking of which, hit like if you do, subscribe, and share the channel with whatever friends you haven't already. It really helps us out. And then hit up the comments and let me know. What do you think we'll see at Apple's September event this year? Thank you for watching. See you next video.